So we started the valence bond theory, and according to this theory, overlapping of atomic orbitals takes place. By this overlapping, covalent bonds are formed. What about the key points of valence bond theory? Then first one is covalent bond is formed by the overlapping of atomic orbitals, and for this overlapping, atoms should come closer. Second point is the only half-filled atomic orbitals with electrons of opposite spin overlap. One with the upper arrow and second one is down arrow. Third one is the overlapping must be less than 50%. Why? Because as the overlapping is greater than 50%, then nucleus start to repel each other, due to which molecule become unstable. Fourth point is the extent of overlapping. As the extent of overlapping is greater, then the strength of bond also more. If the strength of bond is more, then to cleave it, to break it, more energy is required. Hence bond energy is also high. As bond energy is inversely proportional to the bond length, then if the bond energy is high, then bond is strong, and as the comparison of length with the bond strength, then these are also the inversely proportional. As bond length is more, bond energy to cleave that bond is less, isn't it? Fifth point is about type of overlapping. There are two type of overlapping possible between atomic orbital. First one is axial overlapping, head-on overlapping. It means these overlapping takes place along the internuclear axis. Along internuclear axis, and by this overlapping sigma bond is formed. Second one is parallel overlapping. It is also called as sideway overlapping or lateral overlapping, and by this overlapping pi bond is formed, and this overlapping is carried out perpendicular to internuclear axis. Next point, overlapping orbitals must have same size. Positive with positive overlap takes place, negative with negative overlap takes place for the effective overlapping. Suppose electrons, as we discussed in chapter 2, electrons having the wave nature, and these orbitals, they are just the area around the nucleus in which electrons are revolves, where the probability of finding the electron is maximum. Hence orbital are just a wave. Orbital are just a wave. Then suppose this is a wave in which we see upper portion, it is called as crust, and lower it is called as trough. Then as if we assume that it is positive and it is negative, the effective collision between two waves is that crust overlap with crust and trough overlap with trough. Then it is called as effective collision. Now next one is type of covalent bond. Then covalent bond are of two types. Sigma bond formed by the overlapping of atomic orbitals of atom along internuclear axis. What is this internuclear axis? The axis which crosses the nucleus of two atoms. That is called as internuclear axis. Following overlapping are possible to form sigma bond. First one is SS overlapping, when s orbitals of atoms overlap, then they form sigma bond. This is the overlapping area where mostly the electron stay. Now about the s orbital, s always overlap along internuclear axis. It always forms sigma bond, never form pi bond, as it is non-directional, or we can say spherically symmetrical. Due to this symmetry, s orbital always form the sigma bond. It means they always overlap along the internuclear axis. Example in which SS overlapping takes place: hydrogen molecule. As hydrogen having one electron, its electronic configuration is 1s1. So suppose it is s orbital of one hydrogen atom and it is the s orbital of other hydrogen atom, both having one electron with the opposite spin. Remember about the key points: Second key point, that orbitals which overlap with each other having the electron with opposite spin. Now when distance between these atoms decreases, what happen? Their s orbitals overlap to form the sigma bond. Due to this overlapping, hydrogen molecule is formed. Second type of overlapping to form sigma bond is sp overlapping. Remember, again s only form the sigma bond. So whatever the other orbital with s, always sigma bond is formed. Then when s overlap with p, then it also form the sigma bond. As we compare the extent of overlapping in between these two type of overlapping, then extent of overlapping is more in SS than SP overlapping, isn't it? Then again about the sigma bond, which type of overlapping forms sigma bond? First one is SS overlapping and second one is SP overlapping. Here the example of SP overlapping, that is HF. Hydrogen having the electronic configuration 1s1, and for fluorine it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Fluorine having one half filled p orbitals. Then 1s of hydrogen overlap with 2p half filled orbital of fluorine. It may be px, it may be py, and it may be pz. Whatever you want to choose, any p orbital along the internuclear axis, either it is px, py or pz. It is according to you. Then it overlap to give a sigma bond formation between H and F. The molecule HF is formed. Similarly, it is for HCl, HBr and HI. Here is a question for these compounds, that among HF, HCl, HBr, HI, which has more bond energy? Then it depend upon N. N means to say cell number. Less the number of cell, closer it to the nucleus, hence bond length is shorter and bond energy is higher. Okay, now focus at N. Here in case of HF, 1s overlap with 2p. In case of HCl, 1s of hydrogen overlap with 3p of chlorine. In case of HBr, 1s of hydrogen overlap with 4p of Br. And in HI, 1s of hydrogen overlap with 5p of iodine. What we see here, that in case of halogen, the number of shell increases. Hence, if the number of shell increases, greater is the number of shell, distance of that shell from the nucleus increases, and bond length is also increases. Hence, we now the question is about bond energy. So to cleave that HF bond, we require more bond energy in comparison to HCl, in comparison to HBr, and then finally HI. Third type of overlapping which give the formation of sigma bond is PP overlapping. Here this one is the p orbital, this is the other p orbital. When they overlap, they give the formation of a sigma bond. This type of overlapping is along the internuclear axis. Remember, what about the direction of a p orbital? It is along the internuclear axis. One more point about p orbitals are directional in nature. They are directional. They have the directional properties, isn't it? So next point about their example. Then its example is BF3. BF3. Boron having the configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p1, and that of fluorine 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. What will we see here? Boron having only one half-filled atomic orbital, but as we focus on the molecule, it formed 3 bonds. How it happened? First, to form these 3 bonds, boron goes in first excited state, that is one electron jump from 2s orbital to 2p orbital, such that boron having 3 half-filled atomic orbital. Now by this excitation, it has 3 half-filled atomic orbitals which overlap with 2p orbital of each fluorine atom. Remember, if only one bond is present between 2 atoms, only one bond is present in between 2 atoms, then that always is a sigma bond. It never be the pi bond. If 2 bonds are present in between 2 atoms, then here first sigma bond is formed, then pi bond is formed. Then one bond is sigma and another one is pi. Similarly, if 3 bonds are present in between 2 bonded atoms, then first one sigma is formed, then these 2 are the pi one. Then among these 3 bonds, one is sigma and 2 bonds are pi bond. How they form, we will discuss about it later. Another example is H2O. Then about oxygen, its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. It has 2 half-filled p orbitals which overlap with 1s half-filled orbital of each hydrogen atom to form the sigma bond. Now the next one is sideway overlapping, which form the pi bond. Then second type of covalent bond is pi bond, which are formed by overlapping of atomic orbitals perpendicular to the internuclear axis. That bond is called as pi bond. This type of overlapping is also called as parallel overlapping and lateral overlapping. Let us discuss about this overlapping. Then the possible overlapping for pi bond, that is px with px, py with py, if we assume pz as internuclear axis, isn't it? That depends upon you. If you assume px as internuclear axis, then pi bond formation takes place in between py with py and pz with pz, isn't it? And similarly, if you assuming the y axis as internuclear axis, then pi bond is formed between px with px, pz and pz. Here is the overlapping. When these such two type of p orbitals overlap, then this one is called as sideway overlapping, which form the pi bond. These are not the 2 pi bond. It is the one single bond, as each orbital having 1 electron. When these electrons come in upper lobe, then here probability of finding the electron is maximum, and when they come in lower lobe, then here the probability of finding the electron is maximum. As these bonding takes place between p orbitals and form the pi bond, this type of bonding is called as p-pi bond. For example, oxygen. If we discuss about the structure of oxygen, which we already discussed in Lewis dot representation, then 2 oxygen atom having 2 bonds between them. One is sigma and second one is pi. Now focus at the configuration. Then 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. Here oxygen having 2 half-filled p orbitals. Other oxygen atom also have 2 half-filled atomic orbitals. If we assume that pz orbital is along the internuclear axis, then along the internuclear axis which bond is formed? Sigma bond. And now this 2py is present perpendicular to the internuclear axis. And what about this? The form pi bond. Now this one diagrammatically if we see, then this one is the internuclear axis. These orbitals are pz, which overlap to give the sigma bond formation, and these orbitals are perpendicular, which give the pi bond formation. So next point, about strength of sigma and pi bond. Then remember the point discussed above, that strength depend upon extent of overlapping, and this extent of overlapping is more in sigma than in pi. Hence strength is also more in sigma than pi. Second point about the symmetrical, which bond is more symmetrical, then sigma is more symmetrical than pi bond. So this is the topic about the type of covalent bond.